State stimulus check update. Welcome back, everyone. So happy to have you back for another breaking news alerts and updates. We are talking state stimulus checks. Make sure you're watching till the very end to see if your state is included. Currently, there is no more federal stimulus check. We are starting with the state of California. Qualifying individuals will receive around $1,050 between late October 2022 and mid-January of 2023. To qualify, you must have been a California resident for at least 6 months during the 2020 tax year, and you need to have had filed your 2020 tax return before October 15, 2021, and not be listed as someone else dependent during that 2020 tax year. Also, you need to meet certain California adjusted income requirement, and here are those income requirement standards for California. All right, moving on to Colorado. You must be considered a full year resident of the state in 2021 and be at least 18 years old on December 31st, 2021, to collect the $750 tax rebate for individual tax filers and $1,500 for joint filers. As long as you file your Colorado state income tax return by June, you should receive your check by September 30th. Moving on to Delaware, there's a one-time $300 payment to be made to each of the state adults resident. To qualify, Delaware residents must have filed your 2021 tax return, state tax return by the due date, and you don't need to do anything else to receive your payment. Your checks are being issued throughout the summer, so you should have received your $300 payment if you're in Delaware. Make sure you're checking for it. Now for Georgia, those who filed single or separately are eligible to receive $250, while residents who file as the head of household gets $375, and married couples and those filing jointly will receive $500. Also, those payments are being issued right now in August, so make sure you're checking for those. For Hawaii, residents of Hawaii are eligible for $100 or $300 based on your income tax filing status and number of exemptions. Single filers and head of households who made more than $100,000 last year are eligible for $100, and those who are in the same category who made less than $100,000 last year will receive $300. The same amount will be given to married couples filing jointly and separately, and surviving spouses who made more than $200,000 and less than $200,000 last year, respectively. Your checks are also being issued now in August. Make sure you're checking for that. Comment in the comment section if you have already received your state stimulus checks. Residents are eligible in Ohio, Idaho. Idaho residents are eligible for a one-time tax rebate of $75 or 12% of your 2020 Idaho state tax, whichever is greater. To qualify, residents must have been a full year resident of Idaho in 2020 and 2021, and you must have had filed your income tax return or your grocery credit refund for that state. Income tax rebates are being issued as well for that state, and it says individual filers who made under $200,000 in 2021 are eligible to receive $50, while married couples who file jointly with incomes under $400,000 can receive $100. Those who claim dependents are also eligible to receive $100 credit per child with a limit of 3 child credits per household, and your checks will be sent out September 12th. Maine is paying its resident one of the highest stimulus check amounts, with single filers and couples receiving $850 and $1,700 respectively, and that is thanks to new legislation signed by the Governor Janet Mills. Full-year residents must file a main income tax return by October 1st, 2022, and have a federally adjusted gross income under $100,000 if filing individually, or if married and filing separately, under $150,000 if filing as the head of household, and under $200,000 if filing jointly as a couple or a surviving spouse. Recipients also cannot be claimed as a dependent on someone else's 2021 main tax return. Residents who still need to file your 2021 tax return, you can still do so. You have until October 31st to qualify for that stimulus check. Massachusetts, it states here that Governor Charlie said that residents would receive 7% refund of your 2021 state income tax payment, which is about $250 for someone who made around $75,000 per year. And the state auditor will make a decision by September 20th on if Massachusetts will be able to issue tax credit and how much those tax credits will be. Now, New Jersey residents will be issued checks up to $500 as part of a middle class tax rebate, offering child tax credit to those who had claimed at least one dependent when they submitted their 2020 income taxes. Eligibility is based on having at least one qualifying child claimed as a dependent, a tax liability of more than $1, and certain income restrictions, and a gross annual income of less than $150,000 for married people filing jointly, head of households and surviving spouses, or less than $75,000 for single filers and married people filing separately. There is a rebate of $500 available to married couples filing jointly, head of households and surviving spouses who have an income under $150,000, single filers and married people filing separately who made under $75,000 last year will receive $250. These rebates are being paid out automatically, and it states that if you already filed your 2021 state income tax return. Another income tax rebate is also being sent out. It's stated here those payments started going out in June, so you should have received that if you were eligible, while the second half are being sent out now in August. So make sure you are checking for those statements if you are in New Mexico. It says single filers and married people filing separately will have received $500, while married couples filing jointly, head of household and surviving spouses, are entitled to $1,000, and that is for New Mexico. Oregon residents who qualified for the one-time assistance checks you should have received your checks by July 31st, it states here. So if you are in Oregon, you should have received already your stimulus check. The 600 checks were delivered to low-income residents who met the following criteria: receive the Oregon Earned Income Tax Credit on your 2020 tax file, and live in Oregon for at least 6 months in 2020. Eligible residents of South Carolina also were eligible to receive $800 in income tax rebates, and it says the rebates are being awarded per person no matter how you file your tax return. Anyone who hasn't already filed your income tax won't qualify to receive the rebate in South Carolina. Now, for Virginia, residents of Virginia who had a tax liability last year are eligible to receive up to $500 as part of the state one-time tax rebate program, a lump sum of $250 for those who file individually, or $500 for those who file jointly. All right. And also it states here, the website says that late October, the checks will not be issued until late October for those who file their 2021 tax return by July 1st. You must file by November 1st in order to qualify. So stimulus checks won't be issued in Virginia until later this fall. The website states, all right, so that's if you're in Virginia. And that brings us to the end of the state stimulus checks.